Hello and welcome to another episode of From Performer to Producer podcast. I'm Bugom, and this is the 8th time I've pushed record on this episode. I have a kind of a hard time verbalizing what I want to say, but I hope the message will go through. I wanted to, as I've talked in the episode about the PAEI analysis, recently I've really dived into being honest with myself of what kind of schedule works for me and what I need and how I want to work and how I want to live this performer's life. And something hit me, and looking back in hindsight, I've realized that this is not only my problem, it's not a problem, but my way of working up until now, but also from a lot of my colleagues and not only freelancers. So here's the thing. The conflict in me and why I'm having trouble kind of verbalizing everything is because, first and foremost, I'm the first one who's going to tell you that I don't think artists should be chaotic. I don't think chaos helps arts. That's the hill I'm going to die on, is that we need to learn the backstage work. We need to learn more about systems and procedures and processes and bring more order and be more organized and learn how to be more organized and learn how to manage our careers for real, because chaos doesn't support creativity. I just don't agree with this, and this is a hill I'm going to die on. But what happens is, what I've noticed, I'm going to try first give you an example. When I was under quotation marks, just a performer, a freelancing performer, and I was trying to get jobs, through auditions and competitions, I spent most of my days, working on my CV, going to lessons, doing recordings, practicing, sending in applications, writing resumes, finding competitions, all of that stuff. And the thing is that all of that work, all that I did, I regarded as hustling. And even recording, I hate recording. I hate recording myself. I hate self-tapes, because that's something also I have to work on. But because I didn't regard it as a performing opportunity, I prioritized doing everything in order to get a performing opportunity. Even lessons, lessons are very hard work. And the trick is, the trick is that the devil is in the fact that when you're rehearsing, when you're doing a singing lesson, for example, your teacher stops you on every wrong note. You work toward that perfect line, perfect tone, position, whatever. But when you go on stage, everybody says, you have to practice like you'll never stop, and you have to perform like this is your last time. But here's the thing. If you don't practice letting go, it's not going to happen. I know from experience, once you get the opportunity to perform, if you haven't also practiced creativity and letting go and playing and trusting in what you did, it's not going to magically happen once you go on stage. On the contrary. And you won't have that joy of, oh my God, I'm performing now, because your brain will not have been trained for that. And here's another thing. What I realized also, now I've been tracking myself the last year of how I work and what works best for me, and just noticing my routines and habits and patterns. I don't have routines. I'm an ADHDer, but my patterns is that if I want to be creative, if I want to create my own shows, which is something I love to do, and lead my theater well, if I want to have my nervous system calm enough for me to be able to make hard decisions, if I want to enjoy performing and have fun performing and love what I do, because you don't go into arts, you don't go into performing, I'm just going to do this work. Everybody who goes into performing does that because we're in love with it. We love it. Just remember, my mom always says this: when you lose motivation, go back to that moment when you saw your name for the first time on a cast list, or your name when you saw the list of people admitted to the academy. Just remember that moment and why you started in the first place. But this kind of then, when we start the academy and we start work, performing is just kind of taken for granted. We are like, yeah, I'm a performer. I perform. I need to work for that. And then everything becomes work, because we don't prioritize the creative side of us. We don't prioritize first filling up our creative work, our creative part, our creative cup, and then doing the admin work that is necessary and really important, as I said at the beginning. But we prioritize the hustling in order to get to the performing. But once we get to the performing, as I said, creativity is a muscle. Being creative is a muscle. Playing is a muscle. Knowing how to play, knowing how to let go, knowing how to enjoy is something that needs to be trained, because our brains are not wired for us to thrive. They're wired for us to survive. They're always looking, where's the danger? Where's the lion in the bush that's gonna eat us? Our brain is not wired to look for the joy. So we have to practice that, just as we have to practice creativity. The more you write, the better you become. The more you sing, the better you become. The more you dance, the better you become. Yes, by practicing, really studying it. But also, the more you learn how to let go and flow, the easier it becomes. The more you learn how to trust your body that it's going to do everything that you did in the practice room, the more it will do it. But that takes practice. And letting go and enjoying, and also going back to why we started with performing and arts in the first place. That fire needs to be taken care of every day, because we lose it. It gets lost. It gets buried under all of the other things that we think we need to do in order to have a career. And that's true, and we need to. That's why I say that processes and systems and procedures help, because they release your brain. They give you more brain space, more brain energy. But we need to prioritize first creativity, first taking the time. I've realized when I have free days, when I don't go into the office, when there is a holiday, that I have this certain rhythm that I'm super productive, actually, because first, I take time for myself. I walk. I give myself time to think. I give myself time to create, to process, to, as I say, download creative ideas. I also started now, just recently, practicing singing in a way that I do my lesson, I do my exercises, and then I play. I make myself stop thinking about the technique. I make myself play and just have fun. And I'm learning it. It's so hard for me. It's so hard to just let go and not judge myself and just have fun and explore my voice instead of, judging every single note, because that's something I'm so used to. But I've realized that also when I go and perform as a singer, I can't let go in a performance, because my brain has been trained to judge every single note. And I realized when looking at my schedule, I haven't been prioritizing my creative side. I haven't been prioritizing myself as a performer. I prioritize the work and myself as a working performer, but not as a performer. And this is what I see also in people who don't have to do the admin work, people who are not freelancers, people who are in an ensemble, because we don't work on being in the flow, work on the joy of performing, because the relationship with the joy and the love of art is not nurtured and not prioritized, even in working, in environments where there's an ensemble, but it's like work, rehearsal, the joy is gone. A performance becomes just a regular work and just regular job. And it's not, we all know it's not, because there is such a huge difference, there's a difference. The arts they have this one component that some other jobs don't have. Every job actually has when it's done with love. But arts, to be able to create art and not just, repeat the movements and do everything technically perfectly, but to create that special moment that happens sometimes in theater, it requires us to let go and trust and play. And that moment of something extra, we all know this. I know that we all know this. It doesn't matter if you're spiritual or not, but that moment when you're in the audience or when you're on stage and that something extra happens. You're in this tunnel, as my teacher says. You go into this tunnel and you just, suddenly you're there in the moment and the magic is happening, the magic of theater. That's why theater still exists, because there is this certain magic we can't explain and you can manufacture. It has to happen. But there also has to be love, the relationship with our work, and it is a job. Of course it's a job. It's not a hobby. It's a job and it's hard work. But there has to be this joy and love and excitement for it. And so many of us lose it because we don't prioritize it. Because that's what happened to me. That's how I realized it. When I looked at my schedule and the way I worked, Actually, my best time to do work when, I'm the most creative and everything is at nighttime. But what happened was that I would wake up very early. I would go into the office. I would do all of this admin work, paychecks, schedules, whatever. And then I would come home so drained from this that I would fall asleep and I would miss my actual prime time because I was so tired. And when I flip the script and when I go the other way around, when I first make sure that I do what I need to do, I need to have solo time for myself. I need to, have some quiet time in the morning for myself. I need to move my body. I need to, do some things that I now know I need to do. That gets my creative juices flowing. Suddenly I produce like 3 podcast episodes in an hour. Suddenly I write 2 texts. Suddenly I have an idea for a show. Then I go do the admin work. And then in the evening is when I can do all of it, that's when then I'm more productive. Then in the evening when it actually my time for writing is, and when I do my best work when it comes to writing things down and doing that more structural work, that's when I have the motivation because I filled my cup first. I got my juices flowing. I felt fulfilled. I reminded myself why I'm doing the admin work in the first place. And then I have the motivation to do the admin work as well because I know what the admin work is supporting. I remind myself first what it's supporting. I gave myself time. I took care of myself and of my creative persona first. And then I get the motivation to do the admin work because I know why I need it. I know what needs to be done to be able to fulfill my cup and to be the artist that I want to be. So I just really wanted to inspire and share, we need, you have to prioritize being a performer first. You have to train to be creative. You have to allow yourself space to be creative. If you're bombarding your brain constantly with stuff, there's no space for a brain to process, to think, to create. Move your body, dance. The thing is, if you first drain yourself with admin work, for example, and then in the afternoon you go dance. For me, that was like, but I was so tired. That was a release, it was. But I was already drained from the whole day instead of going the other way around. For me, moving my body and dancing is very creative. It's very flowy. It very gets my juices going. If I do that first, even just for 5 minutes under the shower, I'm kind of pumped up. Ideas start coming. So don't let performing also become just a job. There are days when it will. Of course, not every performance you'll be like, oh my God, I feel so blessed, #blessed, #grateful. It's not gonna be like that. But if you notice that most of your performances are not like that, then rethink what you're doing. And remember that it's something that this is practiced. It's practiced. That's why I kind of when I remember my lessons at the academy, there was never even one moment, one lesson, 5 minutes of a lesson where it was like, okay, now forget everything we said and sing. Sing. Don't produce the notes. Sing. There is a difference. Don't be a technician. Be a singer. Sing. That's a difference. And because I wasn't trained, my brain wasn't trained to also sing and not just produce every perfect note. When I would come to an audition, when I would come to a performance, when I actually had the chance, I didn't know how to let go. I didn't know how. Now I should just sing because my brain was trained to not think that way. That's why it's so important. That's why we need both things. There needs to be a balance. It's not like I'm a performer, I'm just going to go with the flow. No, it's going to create chaos. But we need to prioritize singing, practicing, let it go. And that's why, I also want to change my view of recordings. It's a great way to practice in recordings, to not produce perfect tones, but to sing, to perform. And now, I'm not talking about creating your own opportunities. I'm just talking about every day we need to be creative. Every day you have to become aware that you are an artist and you are a performer, that you are, just, what I mean. I'm not going to go in circles. Just, I would love to know your thoughts about this. I would love to know if this landed with you. Please do leave comments, or you can send me a DM. I'm going to leave all the Instagram handles you can find me on. And I'm also going to leave in the show notes the link to our platform Vestals and our course from Performer to Producer that I created with my mom. That is really, aimed to help balance these two things, and that will create for you and teach you how to create a career in performing that is calm and beautiful, and that you can thrive in it and not only survive. That's what I want for all of us. And this is such a big part of it. So check all the links check everything. And yeah, if this landed with you, I would love to know. So share on your social media, leave a review, or share this episode with someone who you think may need to hear this. It means a lot. Thank you so much, and have a lovely, lovely day, and go with the flow.